The stadium was filled with thousands of fans hoping for one unforgettable moment with Shohei Ohtani. Some were calling his name. Some were holding cameras. Some were wearing his jersey and waiting for even the smallest acknowledgement from baseball's biggest superstar. But among all those fans was one young girl standing quietly with a handmade sign in her hands. She was not pushing through the crowd. She was not shouting louder than everyone else. She was simply waiting, and she had no idea that the few seconds she was about to experience would become a memory she would never forget. The sign she held was not something she bought from a store. It was something she created herself. Every word, every detail, and every small design choice represented the admiration she had for Ohtani. To most people, it may have looked like a simple piece of cardboard. But to her, it represented a dream of meeting the player she looked up to, a dream of being noticed by someone she admired, a dream of having one special moment she could remember forever. For young fans, meeting a superstar athlete can feel almost impossible. They see these players on television, inside massive stadiums, surrounded by thousands of people. They see the home runs, the celebrations, and the attention. But they rarely see the person behind the fame. To that young girl, Shohei Ohtani was not just a baseball player. He was someone who represented hard work, someone who showed that dedication could overcome obstacles, someone who proved that impossible goals could become reality. That is why the handmade sign mattered so much. Her family understood what the moment meant. They knew she had spent time preparing for this opportunity. They knew she was not expecting anything extraordinary. Maybe just a quick smile. Maybe a small wave. Maybe a few seconds where Ohtani would recognize her effort. For a child, those few seconds can mean everything. But then the moment arrived. Ohtani appeared. The crowd became louder. Fans immediately tried to get his attention. Phones were raised. People called his name from every direction. And in the middle of all that excitement, the young girl held up her sign, hoping he would see it. But Ohtani continued walking. For a brief moment, it looked like the opportunity had disappeared. The girl lowered the sign slightly. The excitement on her face changed. She understood that someone as famous as Ohtani could not possibly stop for every fan. There were too many people, too many responsibilities, too many moments happening at the same time. She was disappointed, but she did not blame him. She simply accepted that maybe this was not her moment. But what happened next changed everything. After walking past her, Ohtani suddenly slowed down. Something caught his attention. Maybe it was the handmade sign. Maybe it was the effort behind it. Maybe it was the quiet way she was standing while everyone else was trying to be noticed. Whatever the reason, Ohtani stopped. And then he turned around. The people nearby immediately noticed. The girl noticed. Her family noticed. A moment that seemed finished had suddenly returned. And nobody knew what Ohtani was going to do next. That small decision revealed something important about him. Ohtani could have continued walking. Nobody would have criticized him. Nobody would have expected him to stop. Superstars live under a completely different reality. Their schedules are filled with preparation, interviews, team responsibilities, and constant attention. Every day, countless people want a piece of their time. Sometimes, even the kindest athletes simply cannot stop for everyone. But Ohtani noticed one fan. He noticed the effort. He noticed the emotion behind the sign. And instead of seeing another person in a crowd, he saw a young fan who had created something meaningful. That is what made the moment special. It was not about a celebrity meeting a fan. It was about one person making another person feel important. Ohtani walked back toward the girl, and the entire atmosphere changed. The nervousness that had filled the moment slowly disappeared. The girl who had been standing quietly suddenly had the attention of the person she admired most. Ohtani smiled. He acknowledged her sign. He gave her the kind of interaction she had hoped for. But more importantly, he made sure she knew that her effort had been noticed. The people around them watched as the moment unfolded. They expected a quick autograph or a brief greeting. Instead, they witnessed patience and genuine kindness. The girl's reaction said everything. The excitement returned. The nervousness disappeared. The disappointment from moments earlier was replaced with a memory she would carry forever. Her family watching nearby understood that this was bigger than baseball. They did not just see Shohei Ohtani, the superstar. They saw Shohei Ohtani, the person. The player who could hit unbelievable home runs. The athlete who could change games with one swing. The global icon followed by millions. But also the person who noticed one young fan standing quietly with a handmade sign. That is the side of greatness people rarely see. Statistics can tell the story of what an athlete accomplishes. Records can show how talented someone is, but moments like this reveal character. And for this young girl, the memory was no longer about hoping Ohtani would notice her. It became about the fact that he did. But the most emotional part of this story was not the moment when Ohtani turned around. It was what happened afterward, when her family explained why that simple gesture meant so much and why this small interaction became something they would never forget. After Shohei Ohtani walked away, the young girl continued looking at the moment as if she was trying to understand what had just happened. A few seconds earlier, she believed the opportunity had already disappeared. She thought the player she admired would never notice her sign. But then something completely unexpected happened. He came back. For many people watching, it was just a small interaction. For her, it was something much bigger. It was proof that someone she admired had taken the time to recognize her. Her family understood the importance of that moment immediately. They had watched the disappointment when Ohtani walked past. They saw the way she lowered the sign and accepted that maybe it would not happen. Then they watched her expression change when Ohtani turned around. The difference between those two moments was unforgettable. 1 second she felt invisible. The next second she felt important. That is the power of small gestures. For professional athletes, a moment like this may only last a few seconds. But for a young fan, those seconds can become a memory that lasts a lifetime. Years later, she may not remember every statistic from that season. She may not remember every game result. But she will remember the day Shohei Ohtani saw her. She will remember the handmade sign. She will remember the moment she thought she missed her chance. And she will remember that he turned around. This is why athletes have such a powerful influence on young fans. Their impact is not limited to what they accomplish during games. The way they treat people away from the field often becomes just as meaningful as their performance. Ohtani has built his career around excellence. His work ethic is legendary. His preparation is admired by teammates and opponents. His ability to perform under pressure has made him one of the greatest players in baseball history. But moments like this reveal another part of his greatness. Character. Because talent can make someone famous. But kindness determines how people remember them. Many athletes reach the highest level of their sport. They win championships. They break records. They become household names. But not every athlete makes people feel valued. That is what separates moments like this. Ohtani did not have to turn around. Nobody forced him. There was no requirement. There was no statistic attached to it. There was no trophy waiting at the end. He simply made a choice. He chose to recognize a young fan who had taken the time to create something special. And that choice showed why so many people respect him beyond baseball. Throughout his career, Ohtani has repeatedly shown the same personality. He rarely seeks attention for himself. He does not create unnecessary drama. He focuses on preparation, improvement, and respect. Teammates often describe him as someone who leads quietly. He does not need to give long speeches. He does not need to demand attention. His actions usually speak louder than his words. The same person fans see competing at the highest level is the same person they see in these smaller moments. Focused, respectful, humble. That consistency is what makes these interactions feel genuine. Fans can recognize when someone is simply performing for cameras. They can recognize when a celebrity is going through a routine. But moments like this feel different because Ohtani was not creating a public image. He was simply being himself. The young girl did not need a perfect moment. She did not need a long conversation. She did not need something impossible. She only needed to know that her effort mattered. And Ohtani gave her exactly that. The story also shows something important about the relationship between athletes and fans. Without fans, sports would not have the same meaning. The energy inside stadiums, the support during difficult moments, and the dreams created by watching great players are all connected. A young fan today can become tomorrow's athlete. A simple interaction today can become tomorrow's motivation. Maybe this girl will continue playing baseball. Maybe she will chase her own dreams because she remembers meeting someone who inspired her. Maybe years from now, she will tell another young fan the same story. That is how influence spreads, not always through speeches, not always through major events, sometimes through a few seconds of kindness. The handmade sign that started this story was never really about getting attention from a superstar. It was about hope. It was about admiration. It was about a young fan wanting to share something meaningful with someone she respected. And Shohei Ohtani understood that. He understood that behind every fan is a person with their own story. Behind every sign is someone who spent time creating it. Behind every request for a picture or autograph is someone who may remember that moment forever. That is why this simple interaction became so powerful. Because the biggest stars are not only remembered for what they do when millions of people are watching. They are remembered for what they do when they could easily walk away. Shohei Ohtani could have kept moving. Instead, he turned around, and for one young girl holding a handmade sign, that decision created a memory that will last much longer than any baseball season. Because true greatness is not only measured by home runs, awards, or records. It is measured by the lives you touch along the way. That is the end of the video. Do you think moments like this show the true meaning of greatness? Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more Shohei Ohtani stories, MLB moments, and inspiring sports stories from around the world.